Welcome to Your Worthy Career, a podcast with me, Melissa Lawrence. I'm a career and life coach with all the corporate cred in talent development and organizational psychology, and I help women like you get extraordinary results by being more you, not less. I won't just help you have a career experience worthy of you, but I will help you build your self-worth to shift what you think is possible and take the action that will create the career you've always wanted. Whether it's more meaningful work you're passionate about, making more money, getting to your next level, or being more effective as a leader, we are shattering the glass ceiling here, the one that exists for women at work and the one we put on ourselves with our doubt and inner critic. Each week, you will get practical teachings grounded in neuroscience and effective career development strategies. You'll experience deep mindset shifts and the perfect amount of woo so you can run your career with ease rather than your career running you. You were born for more, and I'm going to help you get there, with maybe a few dance parties along the way. Your up level begins now. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I am so excited to have my client Stacy Valluzzo on the podcast today. Stacy is an associate director of biosample operations, and she is a member of the Stand Out Leader Incubator. And so I invited her to come on the podcast to share her experience. For those of you that aren't familiar, Stand Out Leader Incubator is my leadership development program exclusively for women in the pharma biotech industry, and I launched it earlier this year. So she has joined and she has been getting phenomenal results like everyone else in the program. And I wanted her to come on and talk about what it has been like for her, to give you a behind the scenes look of what it is like, what her development has been, the things she wanted to focus on, why she wanted to join. And she is continuing on to the next round of the Leader Incubator, which is opening up on July 6th. And so she's going to talk about why she made the decision to continue also. So without further ado, here is the conversation between me and Stacy. Hi, Stacy. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Melissa. I'm so happy to be here.
Can you share with everyone that is listening today a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Stacy Valluzzo. I currently work in the biosample operations team at Diachi Sankyo. I've been there for about 7 months. Prior to that, I worked at Regeneron in the preclinical bioanalytical sciences area, supporting sample management, quality control, IT. I was in the lab originally before moving up, kind of it in a nutshell.
And you've worked in the industry for how long?
Over 20 years.
Yeah, so you are an expert.
In something.
And, I wanted to have you on to talk about your experience as a leader and being in the Standout Leader Incubator. So can you share a little bit about your leadership experience and how long you've been a people manager, and maybe a little bit about what types of teams you've managed?
Sure. So I've had direct reports for over 15 years. Initially, it was just direct line, a small team of 2-3 people as I developed the sample management area. And then when I switched, actually, I expanded that to multi-tier, and I think it got up to like 17 people. I switched groups and I went to more of an 8 and then expanded that to multi-tier. And currently I'm back to direct reports in the process of hiring and onboarding someone else.
Okay. So you have a good amount of people leadership experience. So for those that might not be familiar, how do you define multi-tier? Is that when you have managers reporting to you?
Correct. So I would have a direct line and they had people reporting into them.
Okay. And so for the purpose of this conversation, because we're going to talk a lot about leadership, not just in the context of what you've experienced in the incubator program, but just your experience as a leader, how would you define the difference between a manager and a leader? I know this is something we've talked about before. And so given that you have so many years of experience as a people manager, I'm curious how you define leader and manager, if you do at all.
Right. So I think I have more insight to that after working with you. So I look now as a leader, somebody who's going to provide a positive environment for people to thrive and do their best. Collaboration, trust, open communication, provides guidance, encouragement, support to achieve their goals, whether they're personal or business goals, and has a positive impact on the team and individuals. I kind of feel a manager is more now somebody who really just handles the day-to-day tasks, making sure you're meeting your deadlines. I guess more very project oriented opposed to encouragement and not really coaching, but I guess coaching would be part of it too. But
So
yeah,
you're seeing leader more big picture, and then you kind of thought of
yeah,
managers as being more
yeah,
directive.
right.
And, like, now do you see how anyone can be a leader regardless of their title? Like, even especially being
Mhm.
in the group, right? We have people of all different levels in there, and all of them can embody those leadership principles. So do you see how kind of how you defined a leader before or how you think of it now is really something that anyone can take on?
I do. I definitely think so, especially when, I even first onboarded in my new position. I didn't have direct reports, but I still found everything that I have learned or know as a leader to be very applicable, even
Mhm.
just for yourself.
Mhm. And so, given all of your extensive experience with the multi tier management and the over a decade of experience leading others, what made you want to join the Stand Out Leader Incubator?
I had only been a few months in my new position and I really wanted to put my best foot forward. I also really wanted to effectively develop teams. Like I feel the last, I don't know, handful of years, I feel like personal development has become such a big portion of your team. And I wanted to make sure that I could do that really well. Also, I wanted to make sure that I was a strong influencer. I could be clear and direct and really just build my confidence.
Mhm. So it sounds like you were already being an effective leader and you really wanted to just kind of take it to the next level. Like the same way that we would look at our employees, right? Is we
Mhm.
want everyone to kind of continually grow within their space and advance their skills. And so this wasn't in an effort to fix a problem. It was more to elevate your skill set and to continue to grow as a leader, especially as you moved into this new role.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you talked a little bit about some of the things that you wanted to work on. What were those essentials that you wanted to focus on in this round of the incubator?
Yeah. So my essentials were pretty much, team dynamics, motivation, effective teams. And that really applies even outside of direct reports. I collaborate with a lot of different functions. So I think a lot of that stuff really can overlap. At least my mindset anyway. Same with communication, stronger influencer, clear, direct, be able to set an example for the team.
Mhm. Okay, and I asked you to come and share your experience because you've really been showing up and, like, sharing your goals and showing up to the calls and raising your hand for coaching and sharing your wins and practicing what you're learning. Like, you've really been really engaged with the content, and it's been really fun to watch your experience and your growth throughout the last couple of months in this space. So what do you think has changed since you've joined as far as your skills?
My skills. So I think I've really improved my action. I've just taken I really feel like, almost like the turtle that takes all these little steps and then, like, has a really big impact, like, I
Right.
literally love the layout of the course because it keeps me so accountable, right? And they're not big steps, you just have to plan for it during your week. So making all these small little steps have really made a big difference in me being more effective at work, getting things done quicker. I've, continued to build trust and relationships with new people at work. And it's really increased my confidence a lot. I censor myself less before I respond to something, to make sure that it's, right. I'm very comfortable with my initial response and move forward. Yeah. I'm
Mhm.
more proactive. I come ready. Like even I meet with my boss or my teams, anybody I'm working with, I have my questions outlined or the topics I want to cover. And it's very effective for me getting to know what I need. And also it helps build that trust with other teams when I show up that way as well, because they see that I'm prepared and can support as needed.
Mhm. And what is your if I don't know if you have a favorite, but of the things that you've kind of learned and applied over the last couple of months, is there anything that you just saw kind of like a really quick win with your team or with your clients or your boss?
A really quick win. Good question. I think a really quick win for me was the mindset sheet.
Mhm.
Really just to be able to get my thoughts out and get a new perspective so that I could keep a clear mind and I guess more logical, less emotion in handling different things. Probably my biggest win.
Yeah, I really like that tool. that we use also. I mean, I know I'm biased my program, but I think like you said, it's something you can take out at any moment to like shift your perspective, to shift your mindset, to see another way to solve that problem, to look at how you might want to plan something out, or if you have like a presentation coming up and you're not really feeling very confident about it, you can use that tool to help you
Mhm.
figure out what you need to do to feel confident and to kind of shift that for yourself. So I love that's something that was really intentional for me, was to have things that I provided in this space that you could use right away, that it wasn't just kind of awareness and good information where you were like, "Oh, okay, that sounds good. That makes sense." But then you just kind of went back to your normal work day. But that we had things that it was like, "Okay, what can you do this week? What's one small step?" Like you said, like the turtle, because it all
Mhm.
builds on each other. I think leadership is really it's I don't want to say like a lifelong journey, like it's never going to end, but I really do think that just like the reason you joined this program, there's new levels you reach, almost like a
Mhm.
video game. Like as you progress, then it's like there's new things that you can learn you're always working with new people. So there's always like different dynamics and conflicts and experiences to navigate as a leader. So I love having all of those things that you can just kind of practice and get those wins with right away. So another part of the program is the community, right? The other women in the group who are in the industry, and some are aspiring to be a people manager and kind of working more in a matrix environment. Others are very experienced like you. Did you have any hesitancy in being in a group environment?
I didn't. I like working in teams anyway. I like to collaborate. So I didn't have any hesitation. And once I joined, I if I had any, it left right away. You realize that no matter who shows up, it doesn't matter what their title is or their experience. Everybody was there to learn. And on top of that, we all run into the similar challenges.
Mhm.
If you haven't seen them before, you'll probably see them sometime soon. So
Yeah, for sure.
a
And
lot of value.
yes. And I think that's something like when people come into these group spaces, is that something they notice right away? I think sometimes we think that either there's a little bit of, like, pride of, like, I'm very established in my career and professional, I don't want people to know I struggle with this or I doubt myself in this way, or maybe they're thinking they're the only ones that are dealing with something, and so very quickly you see that you're all really going through the same types of issues, but because you have so much experience already, you can also help each other with navigating what those problems are and coming up with solutions that maybe they might not have thought of, so it really creates a support system. So, what have you enjoyed about being in a group with these women, kind of getting coached together, learning together? Is there anything else that you really enjoyed about it that maybe you didn't expect to enjoy or get out of it?
Right. Well, there are a couple things I think, as I had kind of previous mentioned, when somebody does speak about, something they're having a challenge with, it's also reminding me of something that I might need to get coached on so then I can bring it up. Sometimes you just forget things. But also, when I've gone to the think tanks, just talking about whatever has prompted me to take steps that I probably wouldn't have in making sure I'm following through with the different points in the class.
Mhm. And I think something that's really important too is I think there's a lot of leadership development programs out there for women that are out there to make women be something that they're not.
Hmm.
And I've seen some of these, whether it's, women should wear power suits or wear certain colors or not say sorry so much or their voice in a certain way or whatever it is. And I just want to point out for anyone listening that this isn't that type of program. Like there isn't anything that says, well, you're a woman, so you have these deficits and this is how you need to be to like, sit at the table. It's really more about you're already good. Like, let's just kind of get you tweaked a little bit for where you want to be based on your goals and what's going to help you stand out so that there can be more women at the leadership table feeling confident enough to speak up, to be themselves, so that it's different when you look around the room. And it's not only women at a certain level. And then once you get past that, it's a lot of the same. It's really to me, it sounds really kind of cheesy, but for me, it's really like making women unstoppable. Like anything that would get in your way internally or externally, either working in this like male dominated field or anything internally and like your own mindset or beliefs that's going to hold you back, like clearing that up and paving that way so that you can really achieve whatever it is that you want.
Yep, I agree. And actually, I was just at a meeting I think it was last week or the week before. And it was a small group of people, but there's senior VPs there. And we're halfway through the meeting. And I realized as I'd been speaking up and talking and blah, 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 I was like, oh my God, I'm so confident. I was like, this is crazy. Oh, like sometimes you get nervous. You feel like your voice sounds shaky none of that. It was like,
Yeah.
it was great. It's great.
That gave me chills. Thank you for sharing
You're
that.
welcome.
I think that's how a lot of growth happens. I mean, that's how I've experienced it also is sometimes when you're growing, it's like it is those little steps along the way. And then all of a sudden you're this new version of yourself and you didn't even realize that you got there. Like,
Right. Yeah, it did. It just hit me and I was like, oh my gosh.
yeah,
And then I was like, oh, next level is no problem.
right? Right? And then, like, I like to just think of the impact of that, like, if someone were to kind of stay in their lane, so to speak, and not work on getting to the next level, not invest in their own development, not work through those things that might be holding them back, they may kinda always stay in the same spot, and even if someone wanted to stay at the same level, because this isn't even about, like, everyone needs to be a VP or an executive, it's really more about, like, how you feel about yourself at work also.
Mhm.
Right? Like, if you feel like you're silencing yourself and you can't speak up or what you're gonna say is dumb or any of those things, I'm not saying you say think those things, but I know a lot of my clients feel that way. They're like, they're worried about, like, putting themselves out there, what's really acceptable, right? And that isn't only, like, preventing your company from maybe seeing another perspective or seeing another solution to a problem, but it also makes us feel bad. Right? Like if you
Right.
go to work and you're not able to feel good about yourself, if you don't feel you can contribute fully, if you don't know your place to speak up in a room, like that doesn't feel good. And then you go home and it's like it's almost like you're silencing yourself and then who's your advocate then if you're not advocating for yourself?
Right.
Yeah. So, from your experience in the program, is there anything that is unexpected, right? So, there's the what you see on the website of what the program's going to be like, what you see in my emails, and then there's you in it. Is there anything you can say to like maybe what surprised you or if anything wasn't what you expected?
Well, it's gone by super fast, but I think what's most unexpected is I feel like there's less of a line between my personal and work now, right? I don't feel like I'm showing up different at work or home, but it just seems more smooth. It's hard to describe, but it's good. It's positive.
It's like you're the same
But
person.
yeah, I mean, I didn't feel like I was different before, but obviously there was something different. So, but yeah, it makes it much easier, especially when there's off hour things I need to attend. So, I think that's probably the biggest surprise I've had from this experience for sure.
Yeah, and that's so important because it's so much more than just loving your job or feeling like you're in the right job or at the right level of leadership, but really like not having to put a mask on, right? And I think I talked about a while ago when I went through my rebrand how I had my walls agreeable gray and I didn't realize even that I was doing that wearing my own mask within my own business when I didn't have to, but it was just like this subconscious like I need to be palatable to everyone. And I think that's the same kind of thing like you're describing where it's like it wasn't something where you're like I'm intentionally being different. Once you kind of uncover like who you really are and you feel confident in who you are, then you realize there is that shift where you were kind of masking yourself unknowingly.
Right, right. Yeah, so I think maybe, it was set right at the beginning when we, reviewed the values and put everything together. It just maybe made it more apparent for me.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, so is there anything else that you want to mention or share with anyone listening about your experience in the Leader Incubator?
It's been great. It's a good experience. I look forward to going every week, even though I'm challenged, don't get me wrong. It's tough sometimes, but yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and that's good. I mean, that's how growth is, right? It's gonna be a little bit challenging, but it's great when you can look forward to it instead of it
Mhm.
just being like, like a doctor's appointment. Like, I have to
Right,
go do this
right.
thing.
Well, yeah, and it's like bite-sized pieces, You get something to work on, you identify it, you work on it,
Yeah.
not everything at once, and it makes it very digestible and easy to apply to your day-to-day job and life.
Mhm. Okay, so you're gonna be continuing on to the next round, which I'm so excited about.
I am.
So, what would you say to those who are listening who may be on the fence or unsure about if this is right for them?
I would say to just join. If you're going to show up and apply yourself, there's no way that you cannot get more out of it than you expect because it's a great opportunity. I don't know. It's great. I love it. It's positive. It's a safe environment. Different industries too. So I think it takes you out from maybe the influence or experience that you have at your current job. It's another thing I really liked about it too that I forgot to mention is like your supervisors or leaders, they all give great advice, but they might not be actually trained to actually really develop you, or maybe you need something different. So I think it's a great opportunity to have the expertise of somebody else to do that and help you.
Yeah, and we didn't talk about that either, when you mentioned the different industries or the different departments really from the different companies in the pharma biotech industry. I think that's really a hidden gem because we talked about the community piece, but there's really not a lot of spaces in the industry that are bringing women together for development like this. Like, it's
Right.
the only one that I know of. And you get exposure to people working in different departments and at different levels. And so that can also be really helpful, especially if you've worked for your same company for a long time,
Hmm.
or in your same type of department for a long time. You can kind of get tunnel vision into what leadership is like, what's available, what's possible, and you get to open your eyes to so many other possibilities and ways of doing things and solving problems and top of like building the network, right? I think all of you
Hmm.
are all connected to each other on
We
LinkedIn
are.
now and like, you can all become friends and just take that with you forever, right? And I think that's so needed, especially as we change the landscape of this industry in the future.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So I always like to ask a question kind of at the end around a piece of advice that you would kind of pass on to people listening that you've learned from. So since we're focusing on leadership today, I'll ask you, what is one piece of leadership advice that you wish you had earlier in your career?
Get a coach, advocate for yourself. Yeah, I think those two will make a huge difference no matter where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And is there anything else that you want to mention before we end today?
Well, I hope to see some listeners on the next Stand Out Incubator because it is such a great opportunity. So you don't want to miss out. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having me. It's actually been really fun.
But I get to do it every week.
I know. Lucky you.
Wow. So I'm sure people will listen to this and they might want to check you out and look you up on LinkedIn. Are you okay with people reaching out to you on LinkedIn and connecting with you?
Definitely. Yep.
Okay.
Feel free to reach
So
out.
awesome. I will put the link to your LinkedIn in the show notes so people
Okay.
can easily access it and connect and say hi. With that, we'll go ahead and end today.
All right. Great. Thanks so much.
There you have it, Stacy's experience in the Stand Out Leader Incubator. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you are thinking, the Leader Incubator really sounds like something that I need to be in, then I want you to go to my website, yourworthycareer.com/incubator and get on the wait list. The doors open to the public July 6th. However, you can get access to exclusive leadership tips and special bonuses and pre-enrollment perks that are not available anywhere else when you are on the wait list. So go to my website and add your name, and I will see you inside the incubator.